roll first.
Yes, all right. Roll call. Alexander?
Here.
Porter?
Here.
Reese?
Here.
Barrett? Johnson?
Sick.
Hayes?
Here.
Burrow?
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay. First item on the agenda is consideration of approval of the minutes from February 4th, 2026, regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
I'll give a few seconds for discussion. Is there any discussion? Or amendments that need to be made?
Looks good to me.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Seeing none?
Yeah.
All those in favor, say aye. Oh, you got to call the roll, don't you?
Alexander?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Reese?
Aye.
Hayes?
Aye.
Burrow?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Our second item on the agenda is a public hearing in consideration of a request to rezone the property addressed as 4411 North Idolot Street from R1 Low Density Residential to C1 Local Commercial. Case number RZ0126. Applicant is Dow and Cynthia Wynn, care of Landy's Engineering.
All right, thank you. As stated, this is a request to rezone the property located at 4411 North Idolot Street from R1 Low Density Residential to C1, which is local commercial. On page 8 of your packet, there's a zoning map. This property is right next to the intersection of 45th and Kickapoo Street, right behind that commercial shopping center on the southwest corner, which is referred to as Lifestyle Plaza. So with the planning and land acquisition phase of the widening of 45th Street, the city will have to take away some parking spots from Lifestyle Plaza. So the city is in the process of purchasing this subject property so that they can put additional parking there to compensate for what they're going to have to take away when they widen 45th Street.
And they're going to put in a buffer for...
Yes,
And that's
when they do that construction, they'll be required to follow the landscaping and screening standards. So to the west and to the south of this property is more R1 zoning. That is an established residential district. And of course, to the east is C2 zoning. That's that commercial corridor along Kickapoo Street. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions?
So you said you're in the process of purchasing the property?
Yeah, I believe the city has purchased the property, but I don't think all of the systems have been updated with the new ownership information yet. But that's kind of where it is.
Okay.
And do we know what the net change in parking is going to be?
I do not have those numbers, no.
Okay.
You ready to open a hearing? Do you have another question?
Has the owner of the shopping plaza explored any kind of arrangements with neighboring commercial property owners for like a parking agreement?
Not to my knowledge. From what I understand, the existing shops in Lifestyle Plaza, they essentially share parking in the rest of that area, in that southwest corner. And this was the solution that that staff came up with when they were trying to kind of finalize those plans on this stage of the widening of 45th Street planning.
Pretty much when they widened the street, they came into agreement with the city that they'll surrender certain piece of land and the city will compensate them with the parking spots that they lost.
So they've come up with an agreement before a rezoning has gone through to trade land?
They agreed to surrender the land, and we still need to go to the process. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. They understand that anyway, the street needs to be widened.
I understand why they're wanting to do what they're wanting to do. I just feel like, first of all, neighbors in that subdivision are already being crushed a little bit by the widening of 45th Street. I'm open to being persuaded, but only by data and facts. I really would like to know that we've exhausted other opportunities before asking neighbors to shrink their pool of R1 or higher density residential in the future plan to going commercial.
Yeah.
I think it's a slippery slope. Not a question, but there we are.
And to my knowledge, the lot is already empty. There is no structure on the lot.
I understand.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments for staff? Okay. We will now open a public hearing, take comments from anybody in the audience who would like to do so. If you wish to speak, you'll have, was it 2 or 3 minutes?
3.
3 minutes to speak. Please sign in at the paper to the right of the dais there on the ledge before you begin. Thank you. And ma'am, if you don't mind, after you sign it, if you could please tell us who you are.
My name's Sharon Floyd.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My mother and father purchased their home in 1964 on a lot down the street from this property, and she still has that home. I think we're in an agreement that the property is located in Bison Edition. I believe that land is Block 1, Lot 1, and it's verified in court documents in the transfer of that property that I got from the court records. My concern is that there's a covenant for Bison Edition. And the covenant was done many years ago, but it's still in effect. And in that covenant, it says all lots within the subdivision shall be known and designated as residential building lots. It also says no fence or wall shall be installed on the front portion of any lot in this subdivision between the front lot line and the front setback building line. In section 11, it says they're to run with the land and shall be binding on all parties and all persons claiming under them, so forth. So I don't understand how, if it runs with the land, that we can now say the covenant doesn't apply anymore. Yes, it's new owners. Yes, you're changing the zoning, or deciding whether or not to change the zoning. But changing the zoning doesn't do away with the covenants. Whichever is more restrictive applies. In this case, the covenant's more restrictive. That it must be personal residence. So what I'm requesting is if that doesn't apply, if the covenant doesn't apply anymore, show me, provide the authority so I can understand how we can just do away with, for one piece of land, one block, one lot, and say it doesn't apply anymore, we're going to put a parking lot there. Those are people's homes that they have purchased, most of them. Some rent, but most have purchased. And they've already lost Kickapoo used to be houses, and now they've got businesses there. Down 45th, they're now going to add businesses. So it doesn't seem like that if they have a covenant, they should be giving up now to a parking lot on the corner. So I'm asking for basically verification, clarification of how you can even do it with a covenant and why you would do it. If you do it once on this corner, what's to say the next house is not bought and changed to a parking lot?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any,
The way it was explained to me by our head of engineering and who got it from the city attorney was that when they've purchased this lot and when it's through the process of rezoning, provided that it's approved, they're planning on combining this lot with the Lifestyle Plaza to make them on one deed, so to make them one parcel. And legally, when it is combined with the Lifestyle Plaza parcel, it is no longer considered part of Bison Edition, is how it was explained to me.
okay, all right. Any others wishing to speak for or against?
That is Steve Landy's.
Oh, if you want to go ahead and sign in, please do, if you'd
Okay,
like to
will do.
comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Steve Landy's engineering.
Yeah, go ahead and sign in for us, please.
No problem. She brought that up. We've already done the lot consolidation on that lot right there. Another thing that happened on that lot was when the city was talking about widening 45th Street, I'm sorry I was a little late on that, the city took a good majority of that lot out. 2 or 3 of the items that we are doing on that right there, well, of course, what we're doing, we're trying to align the driveways. I don't know if y'all might have remembered in the past, there was a big wreck right or two right there. And because that driveway coming out of Lifestyles Plaza is awfully close to that intersection. So we're pulling that driveway back and aligning it with the driveway that comes across as well with the CVS across the way. And then as well, when the city took that, they took about 25 feet of that lot on the corner lot in the first place. So therefore, it's only about half the lot that it was in the first place. Really, part of it is also comes in to add that additional parking. One of the items that is being done, no matter what, is the fences on that perimeter, especially that adjacent property owner. We are putting in a higher opaque fence. All lighting is basically going to be low profile, pushed against, so it does not. That's the primary goal of ours, was to make sure it pushes away from, the adjacent residents. So we actually can try to, redirect everything so it has the least amount of impact on any kind of a residential property. Talked to the neighbor to the south, and with the fence we're talking about, I think he was pretty happy from the discussions I had with him about what we want to do, because that was the primary one that would be affecting. Other than that, we've got the plans here, somebody would like to see them, but hopefully, we look favorably upon that. And we're going to the other thing is that the city's putting in a third lane right through there to have access into Kickapoo, and that's where the majority of that lot goes. But we are doing, like she said, a lot consolidation with the other one, because it's not, the whole lot's not even whole anymore. It's not a buildable property at that point because of the land the city's taking.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Landis.
Yes, sir.
What is the net increase in parking spaces it's going to provide?
Actually, 0. What happened was, when they took a bunch of Lifestyle Plaza, so they took all that outer lane and around, really they kind of carved out a niche around the sign that is existing. So, and then the outer lane on Kickapoo basically had to become a dead end. So we had to pull some parking places out of that to bring it in. We also had some drainage for some detention, and that trash dumpster location was taken out, so we tried to move that to where it's out of the way of everybody and having the least amount of impact. But when the city took all of that to widen that road, all of that parking on the east side, other than up against directly against the buildings, is gone. So I think we lost 12, and I think we're replacing it with just about 12 parking places.
Okay. Thank you. Ma'am, did you want to speak? No, the lady behind you. I noticed you'd raised your hand before. You don't have to, but I noticed you'd raised your hand.
Oh, yeah,
Can you please sign in for us?
yeah.
Thank you.
My concern was
Go ahead and tell us who you are, please.
Cindy Karlovich and the house that's right next to the parking lot that's going to be there. My only concern is that fence, because making sure it's strong enough in case somebody hits the gas pedal instead of the brake. That's my concern, is making sure the security of a good water fence. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is that your only concern?
Yes,
Okay.
because
Thank
we
you.
do have our security cameras, so we have that covered.
Okay. Anybody else like to speak for or against?
Ask a question.
Okay. I heard it. Finish up there really quickly, and then I'll have you sign in and come after her. Thank you. Hi.
I think you were explaining how they,
Ma'am, if you go and tell us who you are, please.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's
My
okay.
name's Karen Heflin.
Okay.
My mother owns a house down that street that she purchased when I was 5, so our family's lived there a long, long time.
Thank you, Ms. Heflin.
You talked about the lot being added to the one behind it on Kickapoo. Would there be anything stopping that from happening further down that street? Say, my mother's is close to Schlotzsky's, so backs up to Schlotzsky's. If somebody bought the lot next to hers, could they just consolidate it and have the house of my 98-year-old mother and a Arby's or a whatever there, and then a 60-year-old widow on the other side of that?
If they owned both lots, it's within their rights to combine them, but if they wanted to put something there that wasn't a residence, they would have to come back and get that rezoned.
Okay, but it's, one of you used the term slippery slope. That's what concerns me. But,
When I mentioned slippery slope, I was thinking along 45th, but, I mean, the whole, in my view, the whole subdivision is bearing the impact of the widening of 45th.
exactly, that's already, I live in Shawnee still, and I use 45th frequently. I'm already concerned about the effect it's going to have, and I'm concerned about the mainly elderly people who live down that street. Is it possible that every other lot could become commercial over the next few years? If you're using that criteria that you can just make it commercial, if somebody buys it, that's conceivable, right?
Everybody can purchase a piece of land, and if they choose to rezone, they need to come before this commission, they need to follow the process, we cannot stop people doing that. Doesn't mean it's automatically approved, but this is everybody's right, and this is how the city code is written.
And they've already started working on it down on that corner. So basically, it's a work around the covenant. All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Did want to remind everybody in attendance, and I think this is something important for our citizens to know, is that this is just a stopping point. We make a recommendation to the city council. This will also be heard there. And
March 16th.
March 16th. And correct me if I'm wrong, but part of rezoning, one of the principles that we stand with is it beneficial to rezone in a particular area? And it's just part of where our conversations come in. And so it's just because one thing happens doesn't mean another thing would happen. And so it's there's not a consequence off one or the other. So anybody else like to speak for or against?
I just want to add to what you say, Monty, and that's why it is in the staff report. This is the guiding principle. The proposed zoning district, is it going to benefit public health, safety, and community welfare? This is what we're considering. And everybody has the right to apply for rezoning. And again, this commission is the recommending body, the decision-making body is the city commission.
Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Thank you to those who did speak. We'll now close the hearing, and seeing that we've already had some discussion on this, before I take a motion, I would like to have some limited discussion about if anybody still has anything they would like to say before we entertain a motion.
Before motion? Okay.
I think that's proper.
Okay. Of course, I have more to say. I'm concerned that this really does meet the definition of rezoning when the city is already committed to expanding the street, that this is a real public necessity, where a private entity is losing parking spaces, that the city would go to such efforts to reimburse them at the cost to residential neighbors. So I'm not in favor of it. I wouldn't be opposed to being in favor of a deferment for better information, maybe going beyond what the city requires for notification to neighbors, so that they have real opportunity to weigh in. The sign hasn't stayed up. A newspaper classified ad isn't read by anyone. It's just going through the motions.
Anybody else want to comment?
Is that what you were wanting?
Well, no, I think there's times whenever we could go through several different motions before we get to something, and I would rather we work some of that out before we do that.
Okay.
Now, will this happen even if it's not rezoned? They'll widen 45th anyway, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So then the business owners lose out.
Right, they'll just lose 12 parking places, and then this lot will become maintenance of the city?
Yes.
Actually, the property owner would probably put it in junction with the city on building 45th Street, without them buying the entire shopping center.
So we don't want to get into suppositions here. We need to talk about what's in the, currently we know at planning. Sorry, Mr. Landis. So are we at the point where we want to entertain a motion at this point?
I want to say too, I think that is a good idea to align those drives, because I get the point of that being so close to the intersection of 45th and Kickapoo. Obviously that would cause traffic problems and accidents there. So I think pushing that back does make sense to me. I know going into that neighborhood is, a little dicey, but, like Steve said too, everything along 45th there, all of those houses are being affected by the widening, and most of them are going away. So, I mean, what's going to happen on down the line with 45th on that side anyway? I don't know what the plan there will be, but.
Right.
Well, an alternative could be that they, instead of taking everything from the south side of 45th, they chop into the vacant space on the north side of 45th.
Yeah, I just think we're way beyond that point.
I do too, but
yeah,
we are
for
where
sure.
we are.
Yeah, we could have definitely gone that route, but.
That would have seemed like it would make more sense, considering there's a lot more space over there and less customers, that direction, but
Yeah.
we didn't go that route.
I'm just not in favor of the city taking private property like that and calling it a necessity of the public use.
I agree.
Anybody else? Okay. I'll go and entertain a motion.
quick reminder, your options for making a motion, obviously you can move to recommend approval, recommend denial, recommend approval with conditions, or you can defer it for additional discussion.
If we pass a motion to defer it, is it still heard at the city commission meeting on the 16th? Or does it not exist
No,
until
it
we
It
make
would
a
have to be
decision?
moved from city commission date.
Yeah, we would hear it in the next planning commission meeting.
Yeah, it will be for the next one.
I would make a motion that we defer it for more information and discussion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to defer consideration of the request to rezone the property with an additional request for more information to be provided. The mayor second to that?
I'll second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Could you please call the roll?
All right, Alexander.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Burrow.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item is deferred to the next regular meeting.
And before we move past this, can I ask for one thing? What types of information, just give a few minutes to this, what types of information are we asking for?
That's what I was wondering, can we clarify?
I would start with, I feel like engineers are pretty smart, resourceful people that we find alternatives.
Can we request that at this point to see if there's an option to go north?
No, I don't think that's going to be, I think that
I
horse
Do
has
you
already
think
left
we're
the
too far
stable.
from that?
Yeah, the road is already.
Yeah, the
past
design
that
for
stage.
that's already, the alignment, it would affect alignment all the way down 45th Street if they had to move that.
Yeah, I just said that because I'm kind of critical.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No,
Can we recommend alternatives? Or are we just wanting to know?
I don't know what
they
the
are?
alternatives are.
Yeah.
I'm here as a citizen volunteer, I'm not a subject matter expert.
So request it from the engineer is what you're saying? Like, see,
I think-
yeah, I like that.
Reasonable explanation why it's decided that way, this is what you mean?
Yeah.
And see if there's
I
any
think
possible.
a reasonable explanation beyond just moving that entrance. I don't think that's in itself palatable to the neighbors, and I think they deserve better reason or a better solution.
And I'm assuming too that part of the redesign is to make up for the parking spaces that are lost on that northern edge of the lot there. Is that correct?
That is less of my concern, just because I don't think that taking parking spaces away from a private owner is enough to make such drastic changes for the public good.
Right. So, we're not interested in whether or not other parking was considered, other places to move parking to was considered in this process, right?
I didn't have enough going into this to know what to ask.
To know what to ask. So what we really need is some of the information about the considerations that the city made when they were coming into agreement with the property owners about what the alternatives would be without moving 45th, what the alternatives would have been to meet the needs for the public good and reimburse. Because I'm assuming, can I ask a question on this? I'm assuming there's an eminent domain that occurred here, and that's the reason the frontage was taken, right?
Pretty much eminent domain is the last step if no other negotiation works. If it's for the public use, the governmental entity has the legal right to apply eminent domain, but eminent domain doesn't mean they take it away and there is no compensation.
Right, yeah, but that's the process here, though.
Yes,
that
that's the
this
process, and
is-
this is the last step if nothing else works.
Right. So I guess part of what the clarification that would be needed by the commission would be, what were the considerations made in that, in providing alternative needs back to the property that was being taken? So I'm assuming that's part of this. plus the realignment for the public good of the drive because of a turn lane being put in, is what my understanding is. Is that what your understanding is?
Now I am, but I didn't have that before.
Right.
And I feel like neighbors and we and the city commission would benefit from seeing
Plans.
3D renderings of what their neighborhood's going to look like.
At that point, yeah. And
Do you have
I,
a plan proposal right there?
Yeah, completed, yeah, the plan is
Good, good,
completely
right
done. In fact, it's supposed to be going out to bid like next week.
That would be even before their meeting, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, the contacting contractors process.
Sir, may I ask a question? Do I need to have another turn? Or?
well, right now, public hearing is closed, so, and we've already made a vote. So what we're doing right now is just trying to clarify as a commission what we need because we have postponed this. The hearing is closed.
If you have questions after the meeting,
Right.
I'll try and answer them.
Yeah, you can always talk to the city planners, the commission. This particular hearing is closed though on this, so we can't hear any more on it. So I think another clarification though would be what was the process and what this compensation would be. What were other considerations? In terms of creating more parking or creating public safety, or is that the only thing that was considered?
Yeah. Also, I think public safety play a big role here, because I think this is one of the reasons the street is widened, because to avoid congestion, and the city is growing, and more cars on the streets. 45th is a major city corridor. So, and I'm just speaking general.
Right.
Limiting the parking spots on the plaza, of course, people cannot park on the street, but they'll start parking in the neighborhood streets, and we try to avoid that.
So, Petra, can you do us a favor after this? Would it be possible for us to engage with you all to provide what information we think we would like to see?
Yeah.
And then you guys can put that together before the next meeting for us to reconsider, and that would
Yes.
give us time to do that outside of this venue.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Does that work for you, Steve?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And are you guys satisfied with that? Okay, okay. Let's move on then to the next. If I can find my way here. Okay, our next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of a request to rezone the property addressed as 541 West Poplar Street and 1120 North Kickapoo Street from R1 Low Density Residential to MU Mixed Use. Case number RZ02-25. Agenda item number 3. Applicants are Pokes Property LLC, care of Joseph Marshall.
All right, thank you for that introduction. I apologize, there was a typo in that. The case number should be RZ02-26, not 25, but as stated, this is a request to rezone the subject property from R1 Low Density Residential to MU, which stands for Mixed Use. This property is located on the corner of Poplar Street and North Kickapoo Street. If you're not familiar, it's just south of Kickapoo Spur. So it's along, again, that Kickapoo commercial corridor. It's just a few blocks north of, I believe it's Jefferson Elementary School. That's kind of the area there. So the property has 2 addresses as a remnant from when it was 2 separate properties. It was combined in, I believe, 2022, when it was purchased by, both lots were purchased by a singular person. MU, as a zoning district, is not currently on the city's map. It's a zoning district that exists in the city code, but MU is not a zoning that is currently applied to any properties in the city. But the intent of the mixed-use zoning district is to allow for, as the name implies, mixed uses, which mixed uses meaning multiple stories of, say, commercial on the bottom and residences on the top. It's intended for that that gray area between high-density residential areas and commercial areas. The property has been used for mixed uses previously, so this rezoning is in part an effort to bring the property into compliance with current code by applying a proper zoning district to it. Let's see. The comprehensive plan encourages a medium-density residential use in this area. However, if you see on page 12 of your packet, there is R1 zoning directly to the west with C2 to the east. So having a mixed-use type zoning district or a higher intensity residential zoning district would create a buffer between that low-density residential area and that commercial corridor. Let's see, are there any questions for staff?
Any questions?
Yes, I'm sorry. There's a residence on the back portion of this property, right, to the west. Would this zoning allow them to change, or them or future owner to change that use to more commercial or?
Pretty much the mixed use allows partially commercial, partially residential. That's why this use was included in the updated code, because it's a nice transition between the commercial side of Kickapoo and residential areas in the back.
Yeah, I understand.
Commercial is, there's a very broad amount of uses allowed for commercial districts. So mixed use is meant to accommodate the highest intensity residential and kind of the lowest intensity commercial, to kind of bridge that gap between the two types of uses, residential and commercial. So it's not outright prohibited for them to have some sort of business in that building, but it would have to comply with whatever commercial uses are allowed in that zoning district.
Right. But at that point, it wouldn't really be mixed use anymore. It would just be one use.
Right, mixed use, as similar to any other zoning district, there's basically a laundry list of uses that are allowed there.
Okay.
And mixed use has a smaller list of uses than some of the other districts, but it allows for more than just mixed use, even though it's called mixed use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I understand it in more urban areas, but this is a little different in that that it has the residential behind it, or to the west of it.
Any other questions for staff?
My understanding too, that they're trying to change the code to be in compliance, because currently it being residential, that's obviously not residential property. I believe there's an apartment in that building, maybe living quarters.
Yeah, from what I
Which is-
understand,
So in
part
order
of the
to,
building is a residence and part of it is a,
so in order to keep that, you would have to do the mixed use, to do the
Yeah.
apartment and then the open space below for commercial.
exactly.
Okay. I mean, you've probably seen it too, so I assume that's what they're doing.
But originally, the owner didn't own both of those, right? It's because they own both of these now?
Yeah, so the person who owns it now, I believe, I'm not sure if it's the same person who owned it in 2022, but whoever owned it in 2022 combined those two lots together.
Okay.
And that's why it has two addresses, but they're one property, they're one parcel now.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and move on and open our hearing. We'll now open a public hearing on this case. You said it was 25, right, or 26?
26.
26, okay. On 26, let me actually say what case it is. Case RZ 0226, is that right?
Yep.
It's on the front there. If you'd like to speak for or against, please come forward and sign in, and then tell us who you are and introduce yourself. And you have 3
My name
minutes.
is Joseph Marshall.
Okay.
I am the new property owner of this parcel.
Okay.
I'm out of sight. You want me to just put my information on the back? Okay.
You can sign it back.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So the previous owner had bought both parcels from someone and then combined it. What this building basically is when you look at it, it's right there by the Domino gas station there. When you look at it, it's a commercial building. It's traditional block construction. It has a 2-bedroom apartment above one of the sections. So think of it as you got about a 5,000 square foot bottom level that's divided into 2 units that are both commercial use, have been previously used as commercial use. You then have an upstairs apartment that's approximately 900 square feet. It's been used as a 2-bedroom residential use in the past. Then you also have directly behind this property on the 2 lots that were also combined, a property that had been used both as a residence rental and also as a commercial rental. So it has commercial style doors on it, et cetera. So my intent was to keep in the same kind of standard of what it's been used in the past, but with it being zoned R1, I can't do that. So I'm just trying to update the use to how it's been used previously so I can move forward with renovations to just stay in consonance with that use. And then directly behind it, so there's C2 in every direction from me on the other sides. It backs up to residential property back to the west, like they did mention. But on that same corridor, everything else is C2 right there. Everything else also backs up to residence on that back side. So I'm not really changing anything there. I'm just trying to go with the original intent of the building and use it. It just wasn't, it was never zoned or hasn't been zoned recently in the way it was. So I'm just trying to make sure that my use matches my zoning because I'm just trying to keep it up to snuff with what you guys would prefer. So that's all I got. Do you have any questions for me?
I just would explain, the questions that we ask sometimes aren't necessarily what your use is, but
Okay.
but the future owner,
Sure.
would they turn it into something that the neighbors would?
Right, and I think essentially like, you're still, the zoning is even, correct me if I'm wrong, for mixed use is even more restrictive than C2, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case with mine being mixed use, because if I don't get that approval for mixed use, then I'll have to be right back here requesting C2 zoning then at that point, right? Because now my hand's forced, it's obviously not a residence, it's not a home, so I have to go C2 zoning. Mixed use is kind of a down step that gives me highest and best use of that property, provides that buffer, and still gives me the flexibility to have the apartment up top be mixed use, the apartment at the back be mixed use, the bottom 2 2,500 square foot units would be commercial. And so that's my intent. And then future use, if anyone came in there, they would have that same flexibility, or if they wanted to change zoning, I don't think anyone's going to zone it R1 because it doesn't make any sense, but they very well could zone it C2 and they would still be in the same swath of everything else that's up and down Kickapoo on that same street is all C2 zoning. So I'm actually a step down from that. I just need it for the flexibility for the building.
Are you going to bring back Theo's Automotive?
I wasn't necessarily planning on it, but I'm
Just for nostalgia.
just trying to get it set up and renew that building and turn it into something usable.
Good.
Thank you. Any others like to speak for or against? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the hearing. Unless I hear somebody say, I would like to discuss this, I'll entertain a motion. But if somebody wants to discuss it, we can do that before we take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, do I hear a second? Motion to approve and second.
Motion and a second. Alexander.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Burrow.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you. Next on to community development updates.
Dear Chair and Commissioners, there is just short update that is included in your packet. This is the schedule for the Shawnee Walk Initiative that Community Development Department committed to. Again, this is a full year. Each month we conduct this walking audits, and the data that we'll collect will be used to future benefit the community, because we want to encourage everybody to participate, not just city staff. I encourage planning commissions to come at their convenience. We want to encourage residents to participate, because this is their chance to share their concerns or give an idea. So, do you have any questions for me?
So you have this posted somewhere, like easy, accessible?
It is, when you open the Shawnee webpage, it is right there up front.
Okay.
And because now we're in March, it will pop up March and April. When we're in April, it will pop April and May. So it's the current month and one after.
It's on the city's calendar of events.
But if you click the city calendar, what is in your agenda is in the city calendar.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Does your communications department create any kind of social media shareable?
It is,
assets?
Our communication director, Jamie Sacco, she put it on a social media
So
city
it's shareable?
webpage. Yes,
Good, cool.
yeah. To remind everybody that this is coming.
So I had one question about these. Have we ever considered having one of these that goes from, say, the Sonic at 45th and Harrison back down to the Homeland, or on either side of that? I think that's where some of the true walkability really declines in our city is, and I see people taking those roads that have to commute back and forth across our city on foot. Have we considered something like that?
We can take definitely that suggestion, but the main criteria that we start to use at first is walkability around school zones.
Oh, okay.
Because
Children.
this is highly critical, especially when kids are involved, and we've seen a lot of kids are walking to their schools.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of kids are crossing very unsafely busy streets. And the second level of importance is around parks. Pretty much we try to tackle areas where kids may be involved first. And after we collect the information, absolutely, we'll continue down the road.
Thank you. I actually didn't realize that that was part of one of the values in this was for
Yes.
for kids specifically. I would then ask that we do have a considerable population in our community that doesn't have access to reliable transportation.
I absolutely
And
agree
more
with
and
you.
more of the businesses start to the north. If, as we go through this and get through this year, begin looking at some of those other populations that we need to serve.
And because this is the first year, we're just trying what is beneficial and what doesn't work. This doesn't mean when the year is over, we'll stop. No, we'll continue developing the schedule for the next year, and we'll move, as I mentioned, we'll take into consideration your suggestion and any other suggestion. Just shoot me an email, and we'll include it in the schedule. We've had requests from some of the neighborhoods. Can we include them in the walking audits? Absolutely. Once we exhaust all the schools and popular parks, because we have some parks that nobody goes, probably they're not super high priority at this point. But if somebody made a request to us, we'll include them in the schedule, definitely.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
So for the visual learner, help me understand what it looks like. Does everybody just like collect and walk like a little bunch of quail?
How it looks like, we're having the address that is we all gather together, and we have these clipboards with questions.
Okay.
And it depends on the size of the group, we may separate into subgroups. These subgroups look lighting. This subgroup looks what is the driver's behavior. The other subgroup look the aesthetic. And we have different criteria based on the questions, and we walk, stop, and we collect information.
Okay.
And we continue walking, we collect information. And at the end, a report for this walk audit is compiled that will join to the rest of the report. So it's very comprehensive.
Amen.
And the more eyes participate, the more details will be observed. Because I can give you an example. I've been walking to the street and I never noticed that there is a school zone, but when you approach the school, the sign is flipped. So you see it when you leave the school, so what is the point of that? But I didn't notice that, somebody else, so I said, oh, yeah, the more eyes, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Crowdsource it.
Yeah.
Okay, see you on the 11th.
Okay. And spread the word, of course, spread the word. We want more people to come and participate. There is no limit, and I heard some concerns, people said, I cannot walk 1 hour. It depends on the route. Some walking audits are between 15 and 20 minutes. Some of them are a little bit longer. If it's cold, probably we're not going to walk 1 hour. If it's super hot, again. So we put just 1 hour, but it's not necessarily that this is written in stone. And if somebody can participate only 10 minutes, that's still okay. People come and leave as it's convenient to them. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any commissioners' comments?
I've just been really moved by losing our friend Carl Packwood this week. And he was such an example of just loving his community, speaking up, trying to correct some of the jackwagons on social media who say wrong things or negative things. And I'm just kind of inspired to be a better Shawnee evangelist because of Carl Packwood.
Anybody else?
Guess I've done a couple of the community walks, so they are fun to do. I think it's good to have the community involved.
Define fun.
They are. I mean, it's interesting to see what it's like, because when you're driving, you're really not noticing your surroundings, what's around, the trash on the road. We did one on Wallace and between Kickapoo and Harrison, and there's a lot of sections where there's not sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people fly down that road, and I mean, we had people that were coming right next to us while we were walking. So the concern for children having to walk home from school or to school on that street is very high, because it is a dangerous road, and it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
And I think the more people that are involved in that and, present for those, it'll be easier potentially to get grant money and things to help with sidewalks and safer streets, even just signage, crosswalks, those
Yeah.
things.
The more awareness around things like that, you get automatic buy-in from people who have experienced it.
For sure.
Yeah, both of my kids went to Jefferson,
Yeah.
and I didn't allow them to go down Wallace. We lived off Wallace on Park. They had to come back around.
Yeah.
And it was because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
When they walked home.
For sure.
Any other comments? If you get a chance, go by the school, the high school, and there's a lot of improvements being made. And we gave the new press box, it's made and run last night at soccer game.
Oh, I saw your picture.
Yeah, so it's looking up. They're getting ready to rebuild I think they've cleared out the area for the wrestling room again, but it's I think the amount, what the community's invested back in our schools, and with the benefit, not the benefit of a tornado, but the benefit of having the insurance money that comes from a tornado, I think it's been wise use. So,
Yeah.
I asked Dax Leone twice, because they had redone the baseball press box too, where's the salad bar? Now that they look that nice, I'm expecting a taco bar or a salad bar.
That's what you meant by that.
Yeah. But big pride in our city with what's going on in our schools.
Definitely.
Any other things going on? All right. Well, we are adjourned.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.